Hello and welcome to Culture Context, brought to you by Urban Fusion. My name is LeRonn Brooks. I'll be your host, and today we have the poet Tracy K. Smith. Tracy has 3 books of poetry, has been named a notable book of 2011 by the New York Times, the New Yorker, and Publishers Weekly. She teaches at Princeton University. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you.
So I guess the obvious question would be, why the title Life on Mars?
Well, Life on Mars is obviously, I guess to many David Bowie fans, the title of one of his most famous songs. And I liked bringing that allusion into the work, not only because I've been a fan of his work and the many worlds that he's been able to create over the course of his career, but I also like what he does in that song, which is to look at life on Earth as this bizarre spectacle. I was thinking about science fiction, and I was thinking about the idea of the universe as a metaphor in a lot of ways for American life.
Sure.
And some of the strange conundrums that we find ourselves in the middle of. And as I was working in that direction, my father became ill and ended up passing away. And it was only then that I remembered that he had been a lifelong science fiction lover. He had worked on the Hubble Space Telescope for a few years in the mid-'80s. And so it all kind of gelled for me.
You know, when you mention that life on Earth can be really absurd, you know, as a reader of your poetry and reading this book, you're coming from some of the most interesting perspectives, you know, in terms of describing these specific moments when people are trying to adjust and feel out their way while they're here. And could you speak to the narrators, how you choose the people who are inside the poems narrating their existences? Could you speak how you find these people?
Sure. Well, to be really honest, many of them are probably aspects of me. When I'm thinking about a poem, I'm often thinking about a question that I have, or a problem that I'm aware of, or a situation that I haven't really come to grips with and that I want to unravel a little bit and find myself inside of in maybe more than one place at once.
Sure.
So the poems, for me, provide the opportunity to move around and maybe switch perspectives. I don't know if that answers the question, but I'm there, sure. But I'm also thinking about other aspects of experience that I might be able to approach within the poem.
You know, there's a vast array of territory you cover in the book, and you're going from one space to another in Life on Mars, right? But you're going from these really interesting spaces, and you're exploring them as if they are geography. You're exploring people's lives as if their lives are lived in an emotional geography, as if, you know, they themselves are vulnerable to whatever it is that's going on in their minds. And they are trying to find a way, maybe into another life or into another understanding of their own existences. I mean, as a reader, that's what I find in the work. And I would love for you to read one of your poems for the audience so they can hear.
Okay, I'll read the first 2 sections from the title poem, Life on Mars. And this is a poem that moves around a little bit in terms of point of view. It begins with a speaker who might be someone very much like myself, and then it moves through certain political events and shifts perspective. But I'll just take the first 2 sections.
Sure.
Life on Mars. Tina says, "What if dark matter is like the space between people, when what holds them together isn't exactly love?" And I think that sounds right. How strong the pull can be, as if something that knows better won't let you drift apart so easily. And how small and heavy you feel, stuck there, spinning in place. Anita feels it now as a tug toward the phone, though she knows the ear at the other end isn't there anymore. She'll beat her head against the rungs of her room till it splits, and the static that seeps out will lull her to sleep, where she'll dream of him, walking just ahead beside a woman whose mouth spills O after O of operatic laughter. But Tina isn't talking about men and women, what starts in our bodies and then pushes out toward anywhere once the joy of it disappears. She means families, how two sisters say can stop knowing one another, stop hearing the same language, scalding themselves on something every time they try to touch. What lives beside us, passing for air. Last year, there was a father in the news who kept his daughter locked in a cell for decades. She lived right under his feet, cooking food, watching TV. The same pipes threading through his life led in and out of hers. Every year, the footsteps downstairs multiplied. Babies wailing through the night, kids screaming to be let outside. Every day, the man crept down into that room, bringing food, lying down with the daughter who had no choice. Like a god moving through a world where every face looked furtively into his, then turned away. They cursed him to his back. He didn't hear. They begged him for air, and all he saw were bodies on their knees. How close that room, what heat. And his wife upstairs, hearing their clamor underfoot, thinking the house must just be settling into itself with age.
Thank you.
There.